Hello, horror fans, and welcome to the Script to Screen podcast, where we delve into the spine tingling world of horror cinema. Each week, we look at the scariest scenes, unmask the deeper meanings behind your favourite horror films, and explore the psychology of fear that keeps us coming back for more.
From script analysis to scene breakdowns, we'll be dissecting your favorite horror movies to see just what makes them tick. So whether you're a seasoned horror aficionado or just starting to explore the genre, join us as we unravel the spine-tingling stories that haunt the silver screen.
I'm Will.
And I'm Leigh.
And as always, Leigh, it's great to be back. Wonderful to see you again, sir. So, what have you been up to? What have you been watching this week?
Oh man, this week I had the pleasure of catching Strange Darling. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, really want to see that.
Yeah, it blew me away with how clever it was. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to sort of spoil it for anybody. But I also caught a really cool found footage flick called Afflicted, which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend. It was kind of one of those when you're a horror fan, you kind of trudge the dredges of Amazon Prime, just seeing all the little low budget
Just
films.
cruising for a horror movie
Yeah,
to watch.
you watch like a dozen and then or 2 dozen, and every now and again you'll get one really good one. And this was a really, really good one.
Ah,
Really
cool.
good one. How about you, my man? You caught anything good?
Well, this week I was able to watch a few things that I hadn't got round to seeing from, sort of directors that I like. So just filling out filmographies, really. So I did watch To Live and Die in LA, which is a William Friedkin film. Hadn't seen that before. That was quite good fun. And I also watched Billy Wilder's The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, which I have to say, dude, was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Oh,
I didn't have sort of big high expectations particularly, but I do love a kind of Sherlock Holmes sort of take, and Billy Wilder's was superb. So yeah,
yeah.
highly recommend that.
Oh, wicked. That's cool. Right. So what's up for dissection this time?
Well, Lee, this week we are looking at the original Saw.
Oh, hell yeah. I love that film.
So, released October 29th, 2004, Saw would prove itself to be an unstoppable beast at the box office. Filmed on a modest budget of $1.2 million, Saw would go on to make over $100 million at the box office and spawn 9 sequels and counting.
Man, I tell you, it is closing in on the most prolific horror franchise of all time.
Okay, so I have 2 questions, Leigh. First and
Okay.
foremost, and bear in mind that my respect hangs in the balance here, have you seen all the Saw movies?
That's the Pope shit in the woods, my friend.
Well, I've no idea about that, Leigh, but I'll take that as a yes. And the second question I have is, what horror franchise could possibly have more than 10 films in it?
Are you sure you want to open this can of worms, dude?
Open up that can, bud.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm going to disregard Dracula as a franchise because basically it's a public domain character. It's wildly open to interpretation. He's in everything from breakfast cereal to cartoons to every type of movie possible. So I'm going to count him out. Okay.
Yep. Okay, that's fair.
Okay. So in answer to your question, there are 4 horror franchises with more than 10 entries at this moment in time. So coming in at 11 entries is the Hellraiser franchise. And then with 12 entries is one of my personal all-time favorites, the Friday the 13th saga.
Saga. Are you really, Leigh?
Oh,
Saga?
shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Okay, sorry.
In second place is one of the most highly regarded horror epics of all time, Halloween.
No, I knew there are a lot of Halloweens, but I must admit, I did check out after number one.
Well, there are a lot of twists in the Halloween chronology that we will get into in greater detail when we do a Halloween episode for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do look forward to that. So, tell me, Leigh, what Titan of Horror claims the grand prize?
Okay, the winner with 15 entries as of writing is the Puppet Master franchise.
I'm sorry, the what now?
The Puppet Master franchise.
Yeah, so Leigh, just repeating that isn't really helping. I'm going to need some more details.
Okay, long story short, evil puppets commit tons of murder.
Like a psychotic Punch and Judy.
Yeah, replace Punch and Judy with the likes of Blade, Leech Woman, and the Tunneler, and you're on track.
Okay. Well, I feel like we've digressed enough, so let's let's get back on topic now, Leigh.
Okay, so back to Saw, and we're going to be taking a deep dive into the film and comparing it with an undated copy of the script by Leigh Whannell and James Wan.
Now, I've heard you sing Lee Whannell's praises before, Lee.
Absolutely. I mean, not only did he give us the Saw and Insidious franchises, but he was also responsible for the modern interpretations of The Invisible Man and the new Wolfman.
Ah,
Now, the script we've located weighs in at 95 pages, but it is missing pages 32 and 33.
okay. Okay, cool. Well, I'm sure we can wing it for a couple of pages, Lee. I'm sure we'll be fine there. So, for your listening pleasure, let's take a deep dive into Saw. A twisted serial killer known as Jigsaw traps two strangers in a deadly game of survival, forcing them to confront their darkest secrets and make horrifying choices to escape, while a desperate detective races to uncover the mastermind's identity before it's too late. So a man wakes underwater in a rusty bathtub. After a moment of panic, he kicks the plug out and the bath drains. He pulls himself out of the bath to find he is chained by the ankle in a darkened room. There's someone else there in the darkness. The two men exchange words, but neither knows where they are.
What a banger of an opening scene that is. I mean, I've spoken before about like punching the audience in the face as quickly as possible, and this scene is a literal example of how to do that perfectly.
Exactly. And while the audience is still reeling from that first assault, the blows continue to land as the stranger in the dark finds a light switch, and we finally get a good look at their impromptu prison and a fresh corpse in the middle of the room, seemingly dead from a self inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
So in the first minute, we've already been hit by a baggage of active questions. Who are these people? Where are they? How did they get here? Why are they here? And who is the dead guy?
It's almost exhausting, isn't it, Lee? So, lot going on here. How does the script handle the opening?
Well, it opens on a series of long, juicily descriptive action lines. So check it out.
Interior, underwater. The low roar of deep water. There's no surface or floor here. This ocean is infinite in all directions. Then, through the inky void, a light. A tiny pen light on a chain. It floats towards us, a tag trailing behind it on the end of the chain. At first, the light shows us nothing, until its glow lands on a face. The face of a young man. His eyes are closed, mouth aghast in mute shock. His eyes abruptly flick open, wide with terror. He takes a breath, swallowing only water, thrashing and expelling bubbles. He kicks out, hitting something. He sees a bath plug below him. He is in a bathtub. The man's legs thump against the tub's edges as he strains to sit up. The plug chain coils around his toe and he jerks it upwards, releasing the plug. The water whirlwinds down the plug hole, gurgling. The pen light clinks down the drain, taking the tag with it. We hear the man sucking a huge breath above the surface, coughing and gasping. We hear the man, but we do not see him. It is pitch black. Tiny slivers of light are all that allow us quick glimpses of the man's face. Everything else is darkness.
After that, it then hits us up with a page and a half of short, snappy, to the point dialogue.
So they're changing it up here, Lee, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's all about pacing and rhythm. You have that slow, sort of deep intro, and then bang, 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 rapid in your face dialogue, and then back to long, descriptive visuals again as we are introduced to the characters and made aware of the body in the middle of the room.
And so who are we dealing with here, Lee?
Well, the two men are revealed to be Dr. Lawrence Gordon and Adam Radford.
So Lawrence is, of course, played by, and I do have a bit of trouble with this name, Lee. It's Carrie Ells, L-U's. So strange, yeah, trouble with the name, but obviously you will recognize Carrie from the timeless classic, The Princess Bride. Adam is played by none other than Leigh Whannell himself, writer, director, and actor. The man is like the Swiss Army knife of horror.
He can do it all for sure. I just want to highlight a great line of description from the script, which goes, "Pipes strangle the ceiling like rusted vines." I'm like, man, that is like flat out poetry. I love it.
Ah, that's nice, isn't it? So the two men take stock of their situation and ask if they remember how they got here. And unfortunately, neither does, or at least neither admits to knowing.
Yeah. And in the script, we get a couple of brief flashbacks showing each of the men just before they are abducted.
Interesting. So, why did they cut them, do you think?
If memory serves, they do appear later in the film, but if I had to hazard a guess, I think the reason is to maintain the tension. I mean, you have this amazing setup, these two guys, desperate, isolated, and the minute you cut away from that, you're going to lose that tension. Even when you come back, it's not going to be as in your face. It's going to be lessened. So, I mean, look at it this way. At the moment, we are right there with these guys. We know exactly what they do. We are in that room with them. And the minute we leave it, it's kind of like we have an out. Like we're no longer trapped in there with them. So I think when you break that tension, it has to be for a pretty good reason.
Yeah, I think you're bang on the money there, Lee. So the two men make some interesting observations about their circumstances. The clock in the room, for example, is brand new, hence, somebody wants them to know the time. And both men discover microcassettes in their pocket, as well as a single bullet and a key for Gordon's case. Sadly, the key fits neither of their chains. Using his shirt, though, and the plug from the bathtub, Adam is able to snag the cassette player held in the hand of the corpse in the middle of the room. Upon playing the tape, he's told he must escape the room or die. Ooh.
Now, interestingly, in the script, the voice on the tape is described as high pitched and cheerful. It still manages to sound sickly, like a ventriloquist puppet reading a eulogy. Definitely a far cry from the hoarse and scratchy tones we now associate with Jigsaw. So I guess it's kind of like, would you like to play a game? Or would you like to play a game?
That's, that's pretty good, Lee. We should get you in for some
Missed
ADR.
my
That's pretty
calling.
good. No, it definitely doesn't quite hit the same spot, does it? So Gordon throws Adam his tape. If he doesn't kill Adam by 6 o'clock, then their captor will kill the good doctor's wife and daughter, and he will be left in the room to rot.
Man, Dr. Gordon really got the bum end of that deal, didn't he?
The voice also lets them know that the dead man in the room shot himself as his blood was filled with deadly poison. And like all good treasure maps, Lee, that X marks the spot.
This is turning into a proper escape room now, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
Christ. I just want to point out something really clever that Whannell did with the script and his choices of character. I mean, you've got the obviously intelligent and successful and capable Dr. Gordon, and almost his kind of like antithesis in Adam. I mean, there's a clear class divide between the two, and I think that carries with it sort of some ingrained preconceptions. Dr. Gordon, for example, seems to talk down to Adam, and you can tell straight away that he views himself as superior. And Adam is painfully aware of this, and because of that, he doesn't trust Gordon at all.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting observation.
I mean, think about it. If Gordon was strapped in there with like I don't know, a high level investment banker or like the head of a law firm, I think their dialogue and mannerisms would be completely different. I mean, this is not an equal dynamic in each of their minds, and it's this clear class divide which adds a whole new layer to the tension. I mean, in short, it creates the driving force of every great screenplay, which is conflict.
Yeah, it's a really great example, I think, of tailoring your characters to eke out the most possible tension and conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now going back to the script, the tape dialogue is mostly the same. However, on the page, the mysterious voice really puts the emphasis on using the gun to kill Adam, which, I mean, I can see why they cut that.
Yeah, and if the bullet in his pocket doesn't make that clear, there's no hope for Gordon. So Gordon has Adam throw him the tape recorder and locates a snippet of hidden dialogue at the end of his message that whispers, "Follow your heart." Now, what could that mean, Lee?
Well, in the script, it prompts the good doctor to unbutton his shirt, flash his pecs, and locate the word toilet written over his heart.
So things play out a little differently in the film as our hapless heroes spot a heart drawn on a nearby toilet. In
Right?
It does appear to be fecal matter, yes, Lee. Poor Adam is forced to probe the brown sludge, but finds nothing, or at least nothing solid. Gordon then suggests that he try the cistern, which reveals two hacksaws wrapped in a bin liner.
Yeah, it's not just me, is it? But there is something else in that bag that Adam is keeping to himself.
It certainly does look that way, Lee. I definitely caught some kind of sealed bag in there. There's no doubt about that. Adam tosses the spare saw to Gordon. Oh, and just a look at the sneaky side eye as he tosses the bag into the bathtub. He's definitely hiding something.
Yeah. I mean, in the script here, we get some completely unnecessary dialogue confirming that the hacksaws are indeed just regular hacksaws.
Yeah, I feel like this script initially had a lot of over explanation.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. But to be fair, it's often a fine line between keeping audiences in the know and spoon feeding them important plot points. It's slightly off topic here, but I keep reading lately how screenwriters are being told to dumb stuff down for streaming audiences. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard sort of whispers here and there. Having main characters regularly state out loud what they're doing, so viewers on their phones or otherwise not paying full attention will be able to keep up with the plot.
Oh, damn TikTok generation, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
So
No
respect your
attention
audience,
span.
Lee. Respect your
Yeah,
audience.
I know, I know. I'm always reminded of that great line in Men in Black where Tommy Lee Jones says something along the lines of, "A person is smart, but people are stupid."
And how old were you when you lost all faith in humanity exactly, Lee?
Oh God, I don't know, 7, I think.
Really? Oh, that's so sad. Seriously, though, I think this does highlight the difference between a script and a film, right? I mean, obviously, in a film you can use visual storytelling, whereas in a script you have to lay a lot of the groundwork out in words.
Mhm.
Back to the film, and the two men attack their chains with their respective hacksaws. Adam's saw breaks pretty quickly and he smashes a nearby mirror in his rage. Slowly, it dawns on Gordon that the saws aren't meant for the chains, rather for their feet.
Ooh. Call back to Mad Max there. I mean, in the script, we have a really cool shot of the two being watched from behind the clock in the room.
Interior, clock face. We're inside the clock, looking out at the bathroom. The seconds hand ticks into view, swiping across the frame and causing a transition. We're now looking at the same view, only later. Lawrence continues to cut at his chain. He swaps the hacksaw into his left hand, trying to steady the chain with his right, but this is proving next to impossible. Adam has given up on the chain and is attempting to saw through the solid concrete pipe the chain is attached to. He grips his hacksaw with both hands, thrusting ferociously. So we finally leave the confines of the bathroom now as Dr. Gordon realizes who may be responsible for their incarceration. We're at a crime scene where we meet Detective Tapp, played by the legendary Danny Glover. It's a macabre scene. A man is enmeshed in razor wire, having bled to death some 3 weeks prior. Fellow officer Kerry, played by the enchanting Dina Meyer, plays a tape with a familiar voice, and we're formally introduced to the Jigsaw Killer. So called because he cuts a jigsaw shaped puzzle piece from his victim's flesh. Although, as Dr. Gordon points out, Jigsaw isn't actually a murderer. He never killed anybody. He just invents ways for them to kill themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I seriously doubt that would hold up in a court of law somehow. But even if it did, he's guilty of almost every other criminal offense known to man, from kidnap, torture, what else, possession of illegal drugs, firearms, manslaughter, reckless endangerment, blackmail, and that's just what I can think of off the top of my head.
It's certainly an impressive list, isn't it? Definitely not a model citizen, to be sure. So how does this hold up to the Scribbly?
And in the script, we get to the razor wire scene, and it's largely identical, save for the reason behind the victim's game, why he's there. In the script, the victim was chosen because he really liked money, whereas on screen, he had survived a suicide attempt via slashing his wrist.
I mean, thematically, this suicide angle ties in better with the razor wire.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So back on the screen, and we're at the scene of another jigsaw murder. This time, a man has been burnt alive. Now, his game, well, he seems to have been locked in a dark room and injected with a slow acting poison, the antidote to which is locked in a safe. The code is scrawled on the walls somewhere amidst a jungle of numbers. Oh, and the guy is also naked and covered in highly flammable paste and has only a candle to illuminate his surroundings.
Don't forget the floor is covered in broken glass as well.
Indeed, yes, just to make things difficult if they weren't difficult enough already. So Kerry also points out two interesting details about the crime scene. Firstly, she locates a peephole that Jigsaw used to observe his victims, and secondly, it seems that he left a penlight behind. Tap sends the penlight for prints.
He's getting too old for this shit.
I was wondering how long it would take you to say that.
Sorry.
No, I was thinking of it myself, to be fair.
All right, so now we get the flashback, which in the script opened up this whole wave of exposition.
Dr. Gordon at work teaching a group of med students about a seemingly terminal cancer patient.
His name is John.
Yes, as the blatantly creepy orderly lets us know, I'm sure he's totally on the up and up and is not at all sinister.
Yep, and nothing to see there. Also, there's a cute med student who looks far more interested in the doctor himself than the lesson he's giving them.
So it's not long before Gordon is called to his office, where he's subtly interrogated by detectives Tapp and Singh, and they produce his missing penlight, Leigh. Dun, dun, dun.
Apart from the differing placement and some minor dialogue changes, this plays out largely as it was written.
In the police station, Gordon confesses to his lawyer that he was with another woman at the time of the murder.
What a sleazebag.
I know, right? Jesus. Anyway, his alibi does, in fact, check out.
Okay, so he's free to go.
Not quite yet. First, Tapp and Singh want him to watch them interview a jigsaw survivor, former drug addict, Amanda, played by the enrapturing Shawnee Smith. Amanda's game involves escaping a lethal trap strapped to her head, the key to which is in the stomach of an incapacitated man on the floor.
Okay, so why do you reckon the detectives set this up?
It does seem a little irregular, but I do have a few thoughts. It could be they wanted to try and spook Gordon into revealing something, but also it's clear that Amanda can see Gordon in the other room, so maybe they were hoping she'd recognize him as Jigsaw.
Could be, could be. I mean, this scene largely plays out as it does on the page, but I do want to go into a little bit more depth on it because it is arguably the most iconic scene in the entire franchise.
Oh, okay, so how so?
Oh man, it really does accomplish so much. But I'll do my best to walk you through it. So first of all, and arguably most importantly, it shows that Jigsaw's games can be won. That in his own sort of extremely twisted way, he does genuinely do this, or he believes he's doing this to help people appreciate their lives. Secondly, it introduces Billy the Puppet, who would go on to become one of the figureheads of the series and almost a horror icon in his own right. And thirdly, it introduces us to Amanda, who will play a major part in the lore of the franchise moving forwards.
Okay, so I'll grant you that it
Okay,
does.
I'm not done yet. Hold up, hold up.
Oh, sorry. No, continually.
The other thing, the reverse bear trap, is easily the most iconic of Jigsaw's creations and will pop up again and again in the franchise further down the road.
So why do you think that trap out of all of them remains the series calling card?
Oh man, there's a few reasons I think. I mean, it was featured quite heavily in the marketing for the original movie, and I think it's just beautiful simplicity. A reverse bear trap fixed to your jaw. Everyone can immediately picture that, and to some degree, what the aftermath of that would look like.
Okay, so I do have a question.
Okay, fire away.
So on the tape, Jigsaw tells Amanda that the key is in the dead man's stomach, and to know he is telling the truth. But we quickly learn that the poor chap in question isn't dead, so thus making Amanda a murderer.
That's a really good question. Okay, and you raise a really good point. But generally, Jigsaw isn't known to be overly deceitful, so I have a couple of trains of thought on this. So, firstly, it could be that he sees something in Amanda and wants her to survive, thus gives her, I don't know, maybe a little added motivation.
Sounds a bit flimsy.
If you ever watch the rest of the saga, you'll take that back. Plus, if you pause the movie as Amanda is approaching the body, you'll see some writing on the wall, just sort of behind her, which reads, "If you try to keep your life for yourself, you will lose it. But if you give your life to me, you will find true life," which is a variation on the Bible verse, Matthew 10:39. I mean, does Jigsaw seem the type to quote random scripture? I think not. However, there is also another theory.
Elaborate for us, Lee.
Okay, so I propose that the guy on the floor is the loser of a previous game, simply repurposed for this encounter. Hence, in Jigsaw's mind, the guy is already dead.
Okay, yeah. See, I like that.
Yeah. Also, and I know it's a little late in the film, but I'm going to place the end of Act One here. I struggled a little with this one, so I'm keen to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, honestly, I struggled to get a handle on this one too. So when I watched the film, it felt like the initial kind of cutaway to the flashback in the neuroscience ward was the break into Act Two.
Hmm.
But certainly, in reading the script, it definitely felt like cutting back to Lawrence and Adam after Lawrence relays what he knows about Jigsaw and why was the start of the second act. So yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, I place it about there-ish as well. Anyway, back in the bathroom, and a frustrated Adam threatens Gordon with the glass from the broken mirror.
Yeah, quite what he expects to do with it from like the other side of the room, I have no idea, unless he's going to pull out some like bullseye from Daredevil kind of stuff.
Anyway, he does naturally he notices that it's two-way glass and smashes the rest of the mirror to reveal a hidden camera. Cut to a screen in Jigsaw's lair where he/she or it is watching events unfold with a familiar, creepy voice providing a running commentary. Frustrations are running high, but Gordon seems to have a strange respect for his captor's ability, likening him to a perfect engine or a disease that needs to be understood to be fought. When Adam remarks how unbothered Gordon seems by his wife and child's predicament, we flash back to the last time the good doctor saw them.
Yeah, this is where we hit the missing pages in the script, but the scene does end somewhat differently. And rather than a lame ass game of this little piggy, Gordon cheers up the girl with a freaking Cossack dance.
Yeah. So I, for one, would pay the price of the ticket just to see Carrie Ells perform a Cossack dance.
I would arguably kill a man in cold blood to see Kerry Ells perform a Cossack dance. That's how great it would have been.
Would have been amazing, right? So Gordon tosses Adam his wallet so he can see a picture of his daughter. On closer inspection, Adam locates a Polaroid of the doctor's family tied up and gagged, along with a cryptic clue from Jigsaw. We get another flashback, this time of Gordon's family being abducted. And I have to say, the scene with this guy peeking out of the closet is freaking terrifying. It gets worse, though, as their twisted captor threatens them at gunpoint while listening to their heartbeats through a stethoscope.
That is some messed up shit right there. I mean, to be honest, this is probably the closest to a traditional horror that the franchise gets. I mean, after this movie, it is all about Jigsaw, his methodology, victims, and traps. And this is one of the few times that undisputably innocent people are actually put in harm's way.
Yeah. The sick bastard moves away to peek out the window, and we see that it's none other than creepy orderly Zepp. I knew that guy was dodgy, Lee. I just knew it. All is not lost as we see that Zepp is being watched from across the street by a now rather unhinged looking Detective Tapp, who seems convinced that Gordon is the Jigsaw killer and is doing some surveillance work on his own time.
Yeah, if we were unsure of his motivations, Tap literally spells them out in a creepy whispered monologue, as if we didn't pick it up already by the newspaper clippings on the wall, etc., etc.
We get a fantastic white transition into another flashback of Tapp driving the doctor home and leaving him with the brilliant line, "The sewers lines run under this neighborhood too." It's his way of saying that he thinks the doctor is full of shit and his status doesn't mean a damn thing as far as he's concerned. Still in flashback land, as Tapp and Singh use some pretty impressive detective work to decipher Jigsaw's location from the videotape he played during Amanda's game.
Yeah, this is absent in the script. Instead, what happens is Tap gets a phone call from a reliable informant.
Definitely better to show Tapp's ingenuity rather than rely on blind luck, I think. Anyway, warrant be damned, they're off to the abandoned mannequin factory.
Yeah, you see, that's the kind of place that will jump straight to the head of my do not visit list. You know, I mean, oh, the genius serial killer is hiding in the abandoned mannequin factory. Let's go. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, good luck with that. Let me know how it goes. Jesus.
As always, Lee, you're a beacon of bravery. Upon arrival and illegal forced entry, they quickly discover this is indeed the right place.
Yeah, I love that cool little diorama of the bathroom scene. I think Jigsaw is a true artist at heart. Maybe if he'd only gone on to graduate art school, he could have been a different man entirely.
Oh, come on, man. It's not like failing art school ever turned anybody evil. So, among the various items of murder paraphernalia the detectives uncover are Billy the puppet and a pig's head mask.
That mask is going to be a series regular from here on out.
They also discover a man is restrained in a vicious looking trap, but before they can investigate further, the elevator sparks to life and the detectives hide so they can identify and apprehend Jigsaw. However, the hooded newcomer gets the better of them and initiates the trap. Singh is able to rescue the hapless victim, but Tap ends up getting his throat slit via Jigsaw's Assassin's Creed style hidden blade.
Requiescat in pace.
Come again?
Sorry, my brain is throwing in obscure references. Just ignore me.
Thankfully, it doesn't look like the blade cut deep enough to be fatal, and Singh heads off in pursuit, dropping Jigsaw from afar with a shotgun blast.
If video games have taught me anything, it is that he is well outside the effective range of a shotgun blast.
Yeah, I don't play a lot of video games, but what would you say is the effective range of a shotgun?
About 3 feet.
Yeah, honestly, Lee, I think video games have been lying to you.
Never, ever.
Singh closes in on the downed killer as Tap struggles to catch up. Sadly, poor Detective Singh hits a tripwire which triggers a hidden shotgun trap, which ends him in a relatively painless, if spectacular, fashion.
Yeah, things play out a little bit different here in the script. I mean, for a start, Jigsaw has planned the whole thing, and this is actually Detective Tap's game. If he lets Jigsaw go, he can save 2 lives. If he doesn't, oof.
Yeah, I like the fact that they caught him off guard in the film. It shows he's not entirely unbeatable.
Yeah, I like that too. And I think it's also a testament to his ingenuity that he's still able to come out with the upper hand. But unfortunately, poor Singh has a decidedly worse fate in the script. So check this out.
The figure in front of him sits up, face obscured in shadow, yellow teeth gleam in the dark. Singh raises his gun, but before he can fire, 2 huge iron petals emerge from the walls and snap shut either side of him, sealing him inside. We hear his muffled screams from inside them. With a deafening screech, 3 steel arms controlling the petals then fold the iron cocoon in half. Screams, then silence. The figure stands. Circles Singh's metallic coffin. Tap tries to scream, no sound coming forth. The figure approaches Tap, who aims his revolver and pulls the trigger. Click, click, click. The figure stands over Tap, bleeding, his breath wheezing. Figure, don't be disappointed. I'm dead anyway. The gun went off for me a long time ago. The figure bends down behind Tap so that his face cannot be seen. Figure, it was Dr. Gordon who said it to me. He sat me down and cleared his throat and said, I'm sorry to inform you that you have a year to live. I'm surprised by the physical changes, knowing that you're going to die brings on. Like your vision actually improves. Your eyes aren't lazy anymore. They don't glaze over things. You see beauty in everything. And you see all the ugly people walking around, ungrateful to be alive. It's a wonderful clarity. But I'd give it up in a microsecond for a life without sickness. The figure takes Tap's hand gently. Figure continued. At the rate you're losing blood, I'd give you about half an hour to live. Your vision will slowly reduce down to a pinprick of light, then nothing. The figure stands up. Figure continued. Now that you two have a time limit on your life, I want to tell you something I know about you. You've never had sex before, have you, detective? You're going to die a virgin. The figure turns to leave. Tap begins to pass out. Singh's blood-filled eye is visible in the iron contraption. It slowly shuts. Definitely a much worse way to go, Lee.
Holy shit. I mean, he just destroyed poor Detective Tap way worse than any other kind of booby trap would do. Man, that was brutal.
Yeah, I can see why they cut that out. Jigsaw's monologue also hints strongly at his true identity, which is much better left with no clues, so as to be a big reveal later on.
There are clues, dude, but they are delightfully subtle.
Really? What have I missed?
I'll stick a pin in it for now and we'll circle around at the end.
Okay. So back to the screen, and Zepp watches from a monitor in Dr. Gordon's apartment as the tension between the bathroom captives grows. Off of a throwaway comment from Gordon, combined with the clue on the Polaroid, Adam gets the idea to turn off the lights, which reveals a luminous X on the wall behind Gordon. Smashing the tiles reveals a locked box, inside which are a cell phone, a cigarette, a lighter, and a hidden message telling Gordon that he doesn't have to rely on the gun to kill Adam. The cell phone, it seems, is set to receive calls only, meaning they can't use it to call for help.
Pretty sure 911 would still work, no?
It's movie logically, movie logic.
Ah, fair enough.
This triggers another flashback of Gordon's abduction from a closed car park. There's some great use of a mirror in the shot to show someone in the pig mask we saw earlier crawl from his back seat and attack him.
Yeah, there was also someone taking his picture earlier.
You talk like those were different people.
That may be. Maybe.
Well, back in the bathroom, and Gordon is growing increasingly suspicious of Adam's epiphany to turn off the lights and pushes him to the point he reveals the photo of his wife and daughter. And Gordon is decidedly upset.
Ching!
Yeah, he does give it some to be sure, Leigh, and starts to have serious thoughts about offing Adam with a poisoned cigarette. Now, unseen by his cellmate, Gordon dips a cigarette into the pooling blood before cutting the lights and whispering something to Adam.
Yeah, in the script, the two men cut down a thin connecting pipe and use it to whisper to one another, during which Gordon literally spells out his plan. And apparently this scene was shot, but ultimately cut, as it didn't make sense to show the hacksaws capable of sawing through pipes, even a significantly smaller one than the pipes holding their chains.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So on screen, we are left in the dark, literally, as Gordon's whispers are neither seen nor heard. The lights come back on, and Gordon tosses Adam an untainted cigarette. Adam lights up before painfully succumbing to the quote-unquote poison's lethal effects. And I just have to say, Whannell's excellent bad acting was a highlight for me, Leigh.
It was like watching a kid eat Brussels sprouts. It was a genuinely laugh out loud moment for me too.
So with Adam dead, Gordon claims victory and an end to the game. Of course, the mastermind, that is Jigsaw, has a failsafe in place. An electric current passes through the chain, and Adam's ruse is painfully revealed. However, the jarring jolt has the unexpected side effect of sparking Adam's memory, and he recalls how he came to be in his current predicament. Cue flashback. We see Adam in his decidedly low rent apartment, complete with makeshift darkroom. He's been taking photos of the good doctor, it seems. Ooh, Leigh! That was the camera flash from just before Gordon's abduction, right?
Absolutely right. Yep.
Awesome. The script goes into a lot more detail about Adam and his home, and by doing so, it gives a lot of really nice little character beats. So let me read a little bit for you here. Interior stairwell apartment building, night, flashback. We're outside Adam's apartment again. Adam gently strokes the face of the stray cat. Behind him, we see a dark figure creep silently into his apartment through the open door. Adam leaves a carton of milk for the stray cat and goes inside, closing the door behind him. Interior, entranceway, Adam's apartment, night, flashback continued. Dark, cramped, messy. The walls are covered in protest flyers and band posters. A large portrait of Che Guevara takes up one wall. Adam presses play on his blinking answering machine. He opens a door opposite, stepping into interior bathroom. Adam's apartment, night, flashback continued. More mess. Adam switches on the red lamp, giving light to rows and rows of photos, crisscrossing each other on strings. He unslings the camera from his shoulder, removes the film from it, begins pouring out chemicals to process it. The machine beeps behind him, playing the message. Woman's voice, from answering machine. Adam, are you there? Please pick up if you're there. Your father's not angry anymore. We just want to know if you're all right. Adam keeps busy, dipping several prints into a sink filled with the developing solution. Woman's voice from answering phone. Please call, honey. Goodbye. Adam looks up. He writes himself a note. Call Mum. Looks at it. Adds a question mark to it. Call Mum. He looks down at his freshly developed photos. Pictures of a man dressed in a suit carrying a briefcase. It looks a lot like Lawrence.
Some fantastic show don't tell examples here, and you even get a little save the cat moment, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely, yeah. So Adam wakes up from a nap a little later to find the power is out and someone is in the apartment with him. He uses the flash from his camera to explore the apartment. Little rear window influence here, methinks Leigh, and discovers a laughing Billy puppet before being assaulted by the pig. Back in the bathroom now, and the silence is broken by the cell phone ringing. Gordon answers to hear his daughter on the other end of the line, and his wife warns him not to believe Adam's lies. He knew Gordon before they were trapped.
Boom. Not that we were lacking it, but that just injected the story with a shot of adrenaline and threw some more active questions in the mix. And I also want to shout out to Mackenzie Vega as a young Diana Gordon here, because she is absolutely killing it in this scene. There's a little extraneous dialogue in the script, but nothing really impactful has been cut.
So rather than stew with his newfound information, Gordon confronts Adam with it, and the other man reveals that he was indeed the man who took the photo in the parking lot and that he'd been trailing the doctor for a few days now. He reveals what was concealed in the hacksaw bag was the pictures he'd been taking of Gordon. This triggers another flashback. This time we see Gordon entering a cheap hotel room where a pretty young woman is very happy to see him.
Just any woman, but the cute med student from earlier.
It seems there was more going on in that scene than we realised.
You don't even know how right you are, my friend.
Well, the good doctor can't go through with the adulterous act and gently lets the young woman down. However, the phone rings and a voice tells Gordon that he knows what he's been doing. Gordon pushes Adam for details on the guy who hired him, and Adam describes Detective Tapp to a T. Gordon confirms that Tapp went off the rails and was discharged after his partner's murder, but remains obsessed with him and convinced that he is Jigsaw. We also see that Gordon did not go through with the affair.
Yeah, in the script, it's implied that they may have slept together previously, but the doctor viewed it as a mistake and went there to end their relationship. Jigsaw is also a lot more chatty on the phone in the motel, again dropping hints as to his true identity and connection to the doctor.
Back in the bathroom, and Adam notices something strange in one of the pictures of Gordon's window. Gordon recognizes Zepp and swears revenge just as a nervous Zepp watches on the monitor. At that moment, the clock strikes the hour and they are out of time, Leigh.
Start of Act 3?
Start of Act 3. The doctor's wife, Alison, is no idle victim, however. She has managed to free herself, but maintains the ruse of imprisonment when Zepp tells her she must inform Gordon that he's failed.
Yeah, take a deep breath, man, because things are about to kick it up a notch.
It's hardly been slow, a slow burn, but okay. Alison attacks Zepp and the two battle for the gun, which goes off multiple times, alerting Tapp, who rushes to the apartment. Alison stabs Zepp with a pair of scissors, and Tapp wounds him with a well-placed gunshot before he runs out of bullets.
Meanwhile, all poor Gordon can hear are screams and gunshots as he listens to what he believes is the execution of his family.
Alison and Diana manage to escape while Zepp swears to kill Dr. Gordon and heads off with Tapp in hot pursuit. Back in the bathroom, Gordon is electrocuted in the same fashion Adam was and lies motionless, possibly deadly.
And the confrontation between Tapp and Zepp is also a little bit more drawn out in the script.
Interior, living room, Gordon household. Monitors flicker in the dark. Tapp creeps past one of them. He holds his gun out in front of him, turns a corner like a trained cop does, into interior corridor continued. The empty hall. Grandfather clock omnipresent, ticking. Tapp gropes along the wall. He stops, listening, breathing, quivering clear breaths. He cocks the gun, stepping toward a door slightly open. The breaths get louder. Tapp gently pushes the door. The breathing stops. Interior, Diana's bedroom continued. Tapp steps inside the darkened room, crouches down next to a dollhouse on a table, turns towards the wardrobe. He does not see the figure rise in front of the window silhouetted. Then he does. He whips around, gun out. Tapp, freeze! He reaches back and switches on the light, seeing Alison and Diana huddled together, eyes wide with fear. Tap breathes a sigh of relief, then turns. Staring at him through the windows of the dollhouse are two bloodshot eyes. Tap recoils as the dollhouse is thrown at him, revealing Zepp. He leaps out under it, slamming him back. Tap stares at him for a second. Tap. Case closed. He snarls, charging at Zepp and pinning him down. Alison and Diana sprint from the room as Tap and Zepp roll into the middle of the floor. Tap struggles to get his gun under Zepp's chin. Zepp counters, smashing a toy train against Tap's head, knocking him out. Zepp heaves him off. He takes Tap's gun, limping from the room. So Tap and Zepp drive hell for leather from the abandoned building where Lawrence is being held.
Yeah, by driving hell for leather, you mean sitting in a static car against a black background and shaking the camera like a madman.
It's a poor effect, but for some reason, it really sells the feel of the film in my mind. As Zepp enters, we see a sign warning against raw sewage. This is a sewage plant, you think?
Maybe, but I can't help but be reminded of Tap's earlier line, the sewers run under this neighborhood too.
Yeah, boy. Back in the bathroom, the cell phone is ringing, but Gordon can't reach it after tossing it during his electricity induced spasm. Oh man, he's so close too. Use the shirt, you douchebag. Tap and Zepp are closing in though, so hopefully he won't have to hold out much longer.
Yeah, I think Paul Gordon has just hit his breaking point.
Yeah, not before time, I think. Zepp and Tap face off for the final time, and Zepp somehow gets the better of the larger man and ends him with a fatal gunshot. Back in the bathroom, Gordon has completely lost it by this point. He ties off his leg with a makeshift tourniquet and then does what we've all been waiting for, Leigh. We've been waiting the entire film. He hacks his foot off.
I mean, it's a delightfully traumatic scene. Both men are screaming, blood is flying everywhere, and it's surprising that there's almost no actual gore in this scene.
The fresh amputee crawls for the gun and loads it. Despite Adam's pleas for mercy, the desperate doctor guns him down.
Brutal.
Yeah, brutal indeed, right? But things go from bad to worse as Zepp finally arrives on the scene and surveys the helpless doctor's handiwork. It's too late though, as time is up, and those are the rules.
It's my ass. Adam surges to life, takes Zep down, and turns the greasy slimeball's head to pulp with the cistern lid.
Get in. The two survivors share a tender moment, a romantic forehead touch before Gordon heroically crawls away to get help. Alone now, Adam searches Zepp for a key, finding instead a small tape recorder.
Yeah, the music really kicks it up a notch now as the whole audience is collectively thinking, oh shit.
Eloquent as ever, but you totally read my mind, Leigh. We listen with Adam as we learn that Zepp 2 was merely a pawn in Jigsaw's twisted game. Then, in the background, the corpse in the middle of the room slowly rises up.
Oh my God, my fucking brain when I first watched this movie, I can't describe it. It was so good.
Oh, yeah, dude. I have to say, I honestly, Leigh, like I knew it was coming. Not because I'm smart, like a smart person, but just because it's one of those bits of movie lore that you pick up, like even if you don't like horror,
Yeah,
you know what
fair
I
enough.
mean? Anyway, we recognize the reanimated corpse as a dying man from the hospital, i.e., John. And a series of rapid flashbacks bring us up to speed and tie everything together.
As Shyamalan would say, what a twist! The true one and only Jigsaw is finally revealed as the iconic Tobin Bell.
Yeah. Now we learn that the key to Adam's chain was in the tub and went down the drain when the plug was pulled. Adam goes for Zepp's gun, but is electrified into submission by Jigsaw. And with that, Jigsaw seals Adam in the room to die alone in the dark.
What a ride, man. So come on, what did you think?
Okay, well, to be honestly, like I really did enjoy the film. I did have some issues with it, but I thought overall it was a lot of fun. I thought it played, I mean, you've mentioned this, but I thought it sort of played more like a thriller than a horror in a way. It was certainly tense and had, a sort of interesting structure, extensive use of flashbacks, kind of drip feeding us information. I love seeing Carrie Ells. It's just a bit of a shame, that I knew the kind of the twist beforehand.
Yeah, no, I remember being absolutely blown away by this film at the time, as it proved to be so much more than what I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, so before we kind of unpack the film further, you mentioned earlier that there were subtle clues to Jigsaw's true identity. Now I'm dying to know what they were, Lee.
Okay. So if we start by going back to the scene that introduces us to Zepp and also John in the hospital, if you pause the film at around 20 minutes, 44 seconds, you can see a drawing on John's hospital table, which is actually a rough design for the reverse bear trap. It's clearer in the final flashback, but it is still there way back in the beginning of the film.
Awesome, dude. I love stuff like that. So what else?
Okay, this one is a lot later in the film, but when Gordon retrieves the gun that Jigsaw supposedly killed himself with in the middle of the room, when he loads it, we see that the chamber is actually empty.
But yeah, so surely it would be if the guy only had one bullet and then shot himself.
Not how guns work, my friend. The expended casing would still be in the chamber.
Okay, well, I stand corrected on that one then. I have another question, a couple actually.
Okay, shoot.
So Jigsaw tells Adam that the key is in the tub, but didn't it go down the drain when Adam woke up and he kicked out the plug? I mean, that seems a trifle unfair to me, as he lost the key before he even woke up.
That is a good point. Very good point. I mean, this is cleared up in Saw 3, where it is revealed that one of Jigsaw's disciples did not secure the key properly, thus pretty much condemning poor Adam from the start.
Oh, damn it. Okay. Well, it's good to have sequels, isn't it, to clear up these little points. Also, we were supposed to believe that Jigsaw was able to lie motionless on that cold floor for hours and fool a trained surgeon that he was dead.
Yeah, I mean, in the script, it's shown that he injects himself with a variation of the sedative that was used on Amanda's victim. And kind of like the way he is led, he's facing away from the doctor as well.
Cool. Okay. Well, that clears all that up. So I do have to ask Lee, hypothetically, what would you do in this situation?
Depends, who would I be, Gordon or Adam?
Gordon.
Oh, that's easy. Adam would be pushing up daisies at the first available opportunity.
That's so savage.
All right, all right. Okay, what would you do then?
I honestly, Lee, I like to think I would conduct myself with a with a fair amount of honor and rashly find a way out of things. But I'll tell you something for free. I would not be playing Jigsaw's games.
So, what have we learned from this script, do you think?
But I think it was for me, it was really interesting the way information was gradually, as I mentioned, gradually sort of drip fed to the audience through the use of flashbacks. I mean, there's a lot of flashbacks in this film.
Hmm.
With the two protagonists essentially locked in a room, these flashbacks kind of get us away from the bathroom, but they also deliver us the sort of information and context that we need just at the right moment. They deepen the mystery, the tension, or the suspense, and I thought it was really well done because it could have, I mean, with that many flashbacks, it could have become just a bit of a muddle, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's kind of a lesson in both pacing and concept. I mean, the script's pace is constant and continually ups the stakes. I mean, even when our heroes seem to be gaining the upper hand, things, from their perspective at least, continue to get worse. And the concept is just genius. Two strangers trapped in a room, given seemingly impossible ultimatums and a strict time limit to achieve them. That's pretty much the entire film in a nutshell.
Yeah. So, any notable sort of character introductions that stood out for you?
Absolutely. For me, it's the final jigsaw reveal. It's a bit of a long one, but it just hammers that final nail in perfectly. I'll read it for you. Check it out. Adam turns around and tremors in utter shock. The corpse, which had been lying lifelessly on the floor this whole time, since the very start, slowly sits up in front of Adam. The corpse, now a very much alive, naked man, creaks his neck, blinking and adjusting to the light. He pushes a needle into his forearm, flexing his fingers as the feeling comes back into his arms. Every particle of Adam's body has ceased to move. He just watches in stark horror. The man looks at Adam. From this angle, we see that he is the sick man Lawrence was talking to the student doctors about at the hospital. He smiles. This is truly Jigsaw. I mean, how about you? Any character introductions that nail it for you?
Well, I think that one was awesome, but I think the introduction of our two leads is pretty good as well. So it really, I mean, you mentioned it right at the start of the episode, but it really sets these two characters up and highlights their sort of contrast right off the bat. So have a little listen. Lawrence Gordon, 46, has a handsome, dignified face of an important white male, and Adam Radford, 25, looks like a drowned rat. A young, grungily dressed drowned rat.
So come on, what was your scariest moment?
Okay, well, honestly, Lee, I thought there were some really effective jump scares, but overall, I didn't find the film that scary, and I have a few thoughts on why this might be.
Okay, hit me.
So, well, I thought essentially it was the kind of the handling of the material, or maybe more accurately, sort of how it was presented. So I thought the moment the film started getting into kind of this sort of jump cut, sped up kind of footage, 360 dolly space, I kind of lost all emotional involvement.
Hmm.
And I just thought we kind of drifted away from this kind of ominous, kind of oppressive, kind of thriller space, which I do actually find really affecting, into this kind of, sort of music video, kind of gore porn sort of promo space.
Yeah.
And for me at that point, I was no longer really kind of emotionally involved or really kind of scared, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
All the kind of tension was kind of sucked out. And, honestly, that happened pretty early. I also had some issues with how, various sort of bits of the film, which kind of pulled me out a bit. So how Adam was photographing Lawrence, I felt was quite unrealistic. And I was also kind of flummoxed right from the off with like how long Adam has been lying underwater for before he woke up. And plus, like, what's the pig's head all about? I didn't
Hmm.
quite get that. So yeah, some really effective jump scares, and overall, like, I really enjoyed the film. But I think the way in which the material was presented really sort of stopped any fear or kind of tension for me, really. Yeah. What about you?
Okay, I mean, I can see why it would have that effect, but I mean, I just gotta pipe up in defense of the film. I think Saw kind of pioneered that style of camera work you're referring to, and to me, it feels very much a product of like the MTV generation kind of filmmaking. But I guess as long as a long time fan, I didn't find it too jarring. Though I guess if I were to take a step back, I can see your perspective and I can kind of understand it. I mean, the technique is meant to elicit like heightened adrenaline, and the viewer keep them in the moment. But and it does that for me. But I find it interesting that it can have the opposite effect too. I mean, as for your questions, Adam underwater, I believe he was not totally submerged in the bath until he kind of shifted position while unconscious and his head dipped under, which is what caused him to wake up and really sort of panic and skits out. As for the pig mask, the significance of that is explained in later sequels, but to be honest, I think that was kind of added retroactively because in the original movie, I think it's just there because it looks cool and kind of scary. And as for me, on the scary side, it's definitely the scenes with Gordon's family being tormented by Zepp. I mean, I found that far more disturbing than anything else in the film.
Yeah, that's pretty. That is pretty disturbing. There's no doubt about it. But come on, Lee. I mean, don't leave me hanging on the pig mask. You got to spoil this for me.
Okay. In later sequels, we learn that Jigsaw's son was due to be born in the year of the pig. And after the unborn child is accidentally killed by a junkie, Jigsaw dons a cheap pig mask in order to abduct said junkie and start on his path of punishment and enlightenment. So that's how it all kind of ties back into the pig imagery.
Nice, nice, Lee. Well, thanks for clearing that up. I'm almost tempted to check out the sequels if there weren't so damn many.
I tell you, man, just watch the first three. Just watch the first three movies. They make a pretty strong self-contained trilogy, which wraps up really well, and would have made a great standalone story until the lure of box office gold inspired seven more sequels.
Well, maybe I will, Lee. Maybe I will. But before we go, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the theme for this film.
Well, I mean, if you're going along with the Parker themes that we're familiar with, then obviously fear of death, or more interesting, how Jigsaw uses that fear of death to force his victims to appreciate life. You could also make an argument for morality of individuals. I mean, Jigsaw sees himself as a savior and a teacher out to help people in his own twisted way. I mean, in later sequels, the morality of individuals is a much bigger part of the film as Jigsaw leans more into kind of making the traps about other people choosing the fate of the victims. For example, in part three, Jigsaw's main victim is a man who was given the option to save people who have wronged him in the past or to literally just stand there and watch them die. Well, to be fair, I think each film slightly varies the message, but if I were to sum up the first three movies in singular sentences, I'd probably say the original Saw is about appreciation of life, valuing what you have over what you want. Saw 2 is about learning patience and to accept what you can't control. And Saw 3 is about forgiveness and how holding on to hate will consume you.
Oh, okay. All good messages. I think. Yeah, man. I mean, I thought this definitely the kind of morality of individuals came through really strong for me.
Hmm.
I thought not so much necessarily the kind of fear of death, but definitely the morality of it. I mean, the film sort of seems to be quite a big part of it is about choice and the choices that people are making and whether those choices are moral or immoral.
Yeah.
So that really came through, which is interesting as well, because this, that sort of plays into this idea that Saw is possibly more of a thriller than it is a sort of straight up horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but you do, interestingly, I was thinking the other day, where you do have this, Jigsaw lying in the room the whole time, and there's the kind of monster in the room almost, so that
Mm.
sort of does
Yeah.
play in there as well a little bit.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Because I was thinking, yeah, there's no monster in the house here or monster in the room, so
Yeah.
yeah, so it's cool, but definitely morality of individuals came through really, really strong for me. Anyway, that's that. So what's on the agenda for next time?
Oh, it's a good one. It's a damn good one. Next week in our season finale, we are going to be taking a gooey gander at the 80s remake of the horror classic The Blob.
Oh, nicely. Good choice. Love it. Looking forward to that one. So, yes, if you enjoyed the podcast, please do hit like and subscribe, and obviously check out our socials. And if you have any thoughts or comments, please do send us a message as well. But until next time, do take care.
And keep on writing those scares.